Hey everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are talking about our December finance and budget review. Just off the top, I wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone who was watching and has stuck by during that entire month where I didn't upload videos. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So November was a wild month for us in terms of finances. It was also a wild month in terms of decision making. We decided last month that we are going to be moving into a new apartment soon in order to give us the space to properly display our possessions in a way that we think will truly make us happy. As much as I know this isn't the smartest financial decision, since living with Saige's mom has allowed us to cut our bills down to an extremely low amount, we do think a lot about our own happiness, and we truly believe that having the extra space to stretch out and the space to display all of our possessions will truly make us happy, and at the end of the day, that's what matters most. So during this month, our budget has changed quite a bit, and we have restructured some things to allow for us to be able to move into that apartment soon. And we also made the decision to pull some money from the Robinhood account. Now, as much as it stung to pull those stocks from Robinhood, I knew that it was for a good reason and that it would add to our happiness a lot more than that little bit of extra money in Robinhood would have added to our happiness. Just to let you know about what I sold Realty Income, Foot Locker, and AT&T, as those are my dividend-paying stocks, and those seem to be the most sideways in terms of trading and the most consistent, so they had the least upside out of anything in my portfolio. So I didn't mind offloading those shares for now, because I can always buy them back at a different time. We have also made the decision in our new apartment to have a roommate. This is somebody that I work with, and me and Saige both get along with very well. So we think it will be great not only for the social aspect, but also for the economic aspect of having somebody else to kind of offset bills a little bit will make it a little bit easier on everybody involved. So I'm definitely taking the lessons that we have learned from living here about finances and being able to cut down our bills and seeing just what that can do to our budget and to our investment accounts, and trying to take those lessons forward into the future even if we aren't living here. So starting off with Robinhood, we only put around $100 into it in the beginning of the month, since we are trying to keep more cash on hand to deal with the expenses that come from moving. So that $100 went into ARCQ, quickly becoming my favorite index fund to invest in every single month. Thankfully, we are in the middle of one of the strongest bull markets that I have seen in quite a while, and so even though we pulled that $1,000 from the portfolio, our portfolio did still grow from last month. The new total for the Robinhood portfolio is $4,152.80. Next, moving on to the M1 Finance Roth IRA. We only put $50 into it this month, again because we didn't have too much extra to put towards investments. But with capital gains, the M1 Finance Roth IRA has grown to $1,845.27. Next, moving on to Webull. I still have my $100 in there in Parsons, a stock that me and Saige picked very early on and hasn't been doing so great the past year, but I decided I would just keep it in there and ride it out. And we also opened an account for Saige on Webull, so that way she could take advantage of the 4 free stock offer that's going on right now. And so that $100 for Saige's account was placed into Albertsons. That brings the Webull total up to $200. Next, looking at my old job 401k, there hasn't been too much added into there, but again, due to capital gains and how much the market is rising every single day, the old job's 401k has grown to $1,721.23. And finally, looking at the new job's 401k, that has grown to $1,130.30. So the total update for all accounts, we now have $9,049.60 invested. It's crazy to me that the total amount invested has increased by $1,000 in the last month, even though we pulled $1,000 out of our Robinhood account in order to give us a little bit more breathing room in our budget. It makes me feel good that we do have a 401k set up for both of my employers, so that way we can passively be investing, and then we can continue to add on to the Roth IRA or Robinhood accounts on top of that. So next we will be moving on to YNAB, so that way I can show how our budget has changed over the last month. Hey everyone, and welcome over to the YNAB portion of this video, where I'm going to be going over our expenses and budget for the month of November. So starting off with the net worth category here, we can see that debts have increased a little bit here, and that's actually just due to our daily spending being on our credit cards, and isn't something that is growing every single month. It's just something that we pay off over time, and since we haven't paid that bill yet for the current expenses that are on the credit cards, it does make it seem like our debts have gone higher, but it's actually about the same, if not lower, than it was from the month before. And we can see that the investments and assets has grown quite a bit. It's grown from $13,402 to $13,885, and while that's not a ton of money, every single dollar definitely counts when you're talking about net worth. So taking a look at the spending chart, this is definitely a little bit skewed because there are so many things that are rollovers from the month beforehand, and that often becomes the issue with these pie charts. So I don't put a lot of emphasis on them, but I do try to keep in mind where my money is going, and having these new category groups is definitely helping to allow me to see exactly where the money is going a little bit better. And it's also very nice to just have all these different colors on here. I think that's just very visually pleasing. So moving over to the main budget here, and you can see all of the category groups have changed pretty significantly here. Again, trying to get a little bit better view on the toolkit reports of exactly where the money is going and being able to see a little bit more accurately percentages for certain things. So starting off here with the car payment and insurance, nothing really has changed there. Everything is the same. We try to add at least $20 over what our car payment is every single month, so that way we pay it off a little bit early every single month. Next, looking at our retirement investments, we only put $50 into the Roth IRA, again because we're trying to keep more money cash flow in the budget, so that way we can have all money necessary for all the unexpected moving expenses that inevitably always come up. Then looking at the house investment category, we put some money into Robinhood, but a majority of this is from the month beforehand, and it just didn't reconcile until, and we were technically in November, and so that doesn't exactly reflect it, because in November we were not putting a lot of money into Robinhood, again around that $100 mark. So looking at the wedding, again, not a ton of money in here, but we are starting to build it up, and it feels good that we are working towards it, even if it is just a small amount at a time. Then moving into housing expenses. So I did split January and February's rent up here. I decided that I was going to be doing that for every single month, splitting up every single month's rent within this subcategory group to allow myself to see exactly how much money we have saved up for the next month, and hopefully I won't feel as inclined to draw from it if I know that this is going towards the next month's rent. So we had to save up money for both rent and a security deposit. Our initial apartment was going to be $700 a month plus the utilities on top. But since that apartment did not work out, then our new one is a little bit more expensive, and so that has definitely changed over in the December budget that has been reflected to show a higher security deposit and rent and things like that. So then looking at, we've managed to save some money for a U-Haul, in which we're now deciding we might not even need, so we've been able to restructure that. And we put money towards renter's insurance and miscellaneous moving costs, so that way we can buy the things that we need to help us move efficiently. So moving into the true expenses section here, we have YNAB right at the start, and that's been fulfilled for the month, which is always what I love to see. I love to see that the true expenses are getting fulfilled every single month. It makes me feel like I'm getting ahead, and that definitely does help with the age of money in the corner over there. So then phone bill, basically the same, moving towards the next month. Everything in here is pretty consistent. Grocery store around $200, and I'm very happy with that grocery budget. I have toiled for so long with trying to decrease the grocery budget, and oh my gosh, I need to be under this $200 a month. That's crazy to spend on food. But at the end of the day, if that's the food that makes us feel good and the food that we need to survive and to do the things that we do every single day, it's definitely worth the price tag of $200 a month. I'm not upset at all about how much we spent on groceries for the month. Then we managed to put $100 into gifts, so that way we could have our Christmas budget almost fully funded, so that way we didn't have to worry about it come the holidays. Then moving into auto maintenance, managed to sack away a little bit towards registration, gas, auto repair, and things like that. Just a little bit to have a little bit of extra wiggle room if there's anything going on with the car that needs to be replaced or looked at. Then moving on to health, this is the new category where all of health is contained. So this is where therapy, health, and dental is placed. We put quite a bit towards health. We put some money towards therapy, which is probably a little bit low, we realized. We probably need to put a little bit more than that in there monthly. But again, it feels nice to have these categories completely split up. Credit card payments, again, those are basically the same. Nothing's really changed there. And then moving into the buffer category, so we have the reserve has been doing pretty good, and the buffer also been doing pretty good, and a few extra dollars saving towards the next month. These are always nice to see these go up because it gives us a little bit more wiggle room in our budget. So moving on towards the bottom of the budget here, we have subscriptions. Those have pretty much stayed the same. And then we have our wish farm. Those have pretty much stayed the same. So then moving on to the but I want it category. This is everything that we don't necessarily need, but that we want to have in our lives in order to fulfill our lives a little bit more. So looking at eating out, we spent $226 this month, and as much as it hurts to spend that much on eating out for an entire month, if we look back at October here, we can see that eating out was $273, and so we've made quite a noticeable difference in our eating out budget just by being a little bit more conscious of where our money goes every single day. What's important to think about is that when you do small incremental changes like this, they're a lot more likely to stick, and you're a lot more likely to take those tenets into more things that you do every single day. And then everything else stayed pretty much the same here. Gaming was a pretty big hit there. I did buy a VR headset for my brother, and so I've been really enjoying using that, but that was a little bit of a hit financially, but we were able to take that in stride during the budget. So that does it for the YNAB budget review. I'm pretty happy with where our money has been going this month, and I think we're setting up a good plan for the future in a way that's going to allow us to be able to increase how much money we're putting into the things that we want and need, and rather than putting money into things that we find aren't giving us as much joy as other categories. And there we have it, the December finance update. I want to thank each and every person that has watched this video, and if you really enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like. It helps out my channel quite a bit. If you enjoy these videos that you have seen from me, consider subscribing. And if you have anything to add about your own finances and how your finances have changed over the last month, please add that in the comment section below. It's always nice getting to hear from all of you about how your finances have developed in the last month as well. Thank you again for watching, and take care.